Well, here is something sensational if it's true. New emails released by Democratic congressmen suggest that Donald Trump knew perfectly well about the conduct of the sex criminal Jeffrey Epstein. In one of them, sent in 2011, Epstein tells his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell that Trump spent hours at my house in the company of one of the victims. Now, of course, he isn't explicit about what they were up to, but Epstein says of the now US president, of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop. I'm joined now by Michael Cohen, former lawyer and host of the Mea Culpa podcast, also writer of the Substack, The Real Michael Cohen, who used to work closely with Donald Trump. Mr. Cohen, welcome to the show. How damaging are these latest emails for Donald Trump?
I don't think as damaging as we all expected them to be. I want to just bring your attention to the fact that there are 23,000 emails that were released to the House Oversight Committee. So far, we've only seen 3. In fact, I've seen 4 because there's a reference to me in 2019 that's completely unrelated to the acts of Jeffrey Epstein, but more my relationship to Trump. These 3 emails need a ton of explanation. Explanation of emails that preceded them and that followed them. So you turn around and you say that he had spent hours upon hours at the home of Jeffrey Epstein. That's probably true, but that doesn't connote anything nefarious. By the way, it also doesn't exonerate Trump from what may or may not have happened. It's why so many of us here in the States and around the world are calling for the immediate, unredacted release of the entire file.
Well, that's absolutely crucial because there is this strange comment about him spending time alone with one of the known victims, which is what I guess people will now focus on.
Well, I'm not so sure that that's what exactly the email says. I think it just says that he had been, as you know, to the house where he spent hours and was there at the parties. I don't think it specifically states with who. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, Virginia Giuffre, who is unfortunately no longer with us, she herself, even in her book, does not specifically call out Trump's name as being one of the child rapists.
Well, in another part of the emails, I thought there was a reference to them being alone together, but in another part of the email trail, there's a reference. Epstein says how he was sure that Trump knew about the girls because he had actually asked Ghislaine Maxwell to stop. Now, I assume stop recruiting them, stop doing what she was doing, I assume, which is perhaps puts him in a slightly better light.
So once again, it goes and it validates the point that these are not the bombshells yet that everybody is looking for, myself included. We need the entire unredacted files because depending upon whether you're a Trump supporter or a Trump detractor will ultimately decide which direction you think that means. You can turn around and you could say, if you are a Trump detractor, sure, to stop, to stop with the relationships with the girls, et cetera, et cetera. If you are a Trump supporter, is it not fair to also say, since all of these emails are very cryptic, that he asked Ghislaine to stop? Would it not be fair to say, to stop trying to set me up with these young girls? Is that not a possibility too? And I want your audience to please understand something. I went to prison because of Trump. I'm not here to defend him. I may have been his personal attorney for a decade and a half. I may have also been the personal attorney to President Donald J. Trump, but I'm not here to defend him. What I'm here to do is to read the emails as a lawyer in light that is nonpartisan, that is unbiased, because what I want to see is I want to see the truth come out so that the victims can see the accountability that they have so long deserved.
Well, I have read the emails that have come out so far today, and you're quite right. They're very, very partial. If the entire email dump does come out into the public, what kind of impact will that, and it shows more connections between Donald Trump and Epstein and the girls, what kind of effect will that have, do you think, on the MAGA base? In other words, how outraged, how interested are his own supporters in this story?
Well, again, that presupposes that he did himself anything nefarious. Do I think that Trump knew about Jeffrey Epstein's proclivity? The answer to that is yes. I believe everyone in Manhattan knew that as well. Nevertheless, I believe when these documents come out, that it will 100% affect MAGA, because for the past decade, MAGA has been groomed to understand that this is all a Democrat-controlled cabal of child pedophiles.
That is absolutely fascinating, Mr. Cohen, because I can tell you something that has just broken, a piece of news that has just broken. I'm told that Republicans on the House Oversight Committee have just released 23,000 emails over and above the handful released earlier today by the Democrats. So that is a large part of what you were just calling for.
Well, nice, because now at least I know what my evening is going to look like reading all 23,000 of them.
Yeah. So this is a really crucial moment. Well, we'll wait until those new emails have been digested and analysed before we go any further. But since you're here, I must ask you. You know Donald J. Trump. You know how he responds, particularly in legal cases. So I'd be very interested in your view about how he's going to handle this alleged $1 billion plus defamation suit against the BBC.
Well, I'm shocked it's only $1 billion. You may recall he sued me for $500 million. I want to be clear about something. And yes, I do know Donald Trump better than any human being should know another human being. When Trump declares that he has an obligation to sue the BBC for its alleged splicing of his January 6th speech, he's doing more than just defending a reputation. He's fueling this long-term strategy of media warfare. And yes, if the edit misled, well, then accountability is warranted. The extent, not $1 billion, but certainly accountability is warranted. But the real question, Andrew, here that everyone has to ask is this just a lawsuit in disguise? Is it really nothing more than a political weapon that's poised to silence journalism and to intimidate newsrooms that will dare to challenge him?
And speaking of political weapons, Mr. Cohen, Nigel Farage, the leader of the Reform Party in the UK, has made a big deal about his close relationship with Donald Trump around this and the behaviour of the BBC. How do you see that relationship in terms of our politics developing?
Yeah, I don't think Nigel Farage plays any role whatsoever in the U.S. and the U.K. I think, unfortunately, what you will see is Trump trying to strong-arm Keir Starmer and others within which to continue to beat up on the BBC, which is, again, all about ego and nothing to do with legitimacy. But he will use that. He will use tariffs. He will use whatever weapon he has in order to win.
Oh, joy.